Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a DIY Dollar Tree Farmhouse mason jar vase holder. You can do it for so many variety of things we'll show about at the end. We're going to use two of these canvas boxes that was sort of like in a while back, but hopefully you can find them. And then we're going to use some of the canvas boards as well. You could also probably use the chipboard signs if you find one that's nice and big, and then paint, of course. I just liked the finish on the pictures, the canvases, which is why I chose them. So the first thing you want to do, which was kind of a pain in the tuchus, I mean, we've taken lots of canvases off a lot of wood before, but these staples were really in there good. Oh my goodness. So I started by prying up the sawtooth hangers, which were the kind that weren't screwed in. They were the kind that actually they hammered into the wood, which was good because we could use them for other projects. So I put them in my little findings bottle. I have a little bottle of findings. And then I really just tried to work at it, but what I ended up doing was just pulling on the canvas. Sometimes it ripped through the canvas and left the staple in the wood, and sometimes it pulled the staple right out of the wood. I just knew that I could potentially use these canvases for something else, so I didn't want to like cut through them and wreck them. I'm not trying to be like a garbage man, Sanford and Son hoarder kind of person, but sometimes when you see something that's a little bit on the better quality side, you figure you could reuse it for something else. So, I wanted to tell you that this was inspired by something that I saw on Pinterest. And like the trays last night, this was in a requested video. One of my subscribers is trying to get some inexpensive farmhouse bathroom DIYs, and I'll show you at the end how we're going to use it in a bathroom. But I just thought that this would be a nice something a little different that not everybody has made before. But I did direct her to other people's channels that have some beautiful farmhouse bathroom stuff. But I, of course, wanted to go ahead and make a few things for her as well. So first we did the chicken wire hooks, and then we made the trays last night, and tonight is this, okay? So I remember that in my 13 things from the Dollar Tree that you need, one of them was a needle nose pliers. And I want to tell you real quick that this came in so handy for this project, not just pulling out staples that were half in, half out, but because of my arthritis, it's a little harder to grip on the little pieces of the canvas that were on the edges there. So I was using my needle nose pliers to really get a good grip. Regular pliers would have worked for this too, but I always keep my needle nose right there with my scissors and stuff, so it's always at my workstation. And then once you have that all done, you want to peel the stickers. There is a good side and a bad side to this. One is going to be the top frame, one is going to be the bottom frame. So the one with the best underside I would use for the top frame. Now I will tell you in full disclosure that one of these was a little smaller than the other one, and I tested both of them in the mason jar tops with the lids on to see which one would be the roomiest, and that's the one that I made for the top because it basically just sits on the bottom, so that's why. All right, so you can see there I'm testing the size. So what I'm doing here is I have the large canvas, and I'm showing you that it's not quite long enough to fit over this box. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut two pieces of the canvas, and I'm going to seam them together in the middle as opposed to seaming them together on the ends. The reason I'm doing that is because when I'm finished and I paint it, I like to have that nice finished edge that's on the canvas around the three sides that you'll actually can see it. It's exposed a little bit. Actually, it's only exposed a little bit on the end, but what I decided to do is put the seam in the middle, just for that reason only, just for aesthetics alone, okay? And what I ended up doing was basically piecing two pieces together with the seam in the middle so that the edge of the canvas is kind of like rolled. I didn't want two rolled edges butted up to each other in the middle of the canvas on the base because I was thinking that it would create like a little divot, and I didn't want that. So I put the two cut edges. I basically cut one edge and then used it to cut the other one, and I put them the seam in the middle of the box basically. Now, I will tell you that it is much easier to write on the canvas side than the paper side. The paper is got a shiny finish. The canvas took pencil really, really well, which now I'm like, I want to draw. But what I did was I basically laid the box that I was going to use for the base down, traced it. I basically lined it up with two corners and then traced it around the other two corners. Cut it with my utility knife and my metal ruler. Always safety, guys, right? And not too much pressure, just score it a lot. I went over it about 5 or 6 times. I bent it and then I flipped it over and scored the back. I found that to be not as effective as cutting through the bent. And you'll see me do that in a minute. What I ended up doing next was I bent it and then cut through it, like through the opening. And that was actually better. It was more of an accurate cut. That one folded and whatever. I wanted to show it to you, so in case you thought that was a shortcut, it doesn't really work as well. You kind of don't end up with that even line. All right. So then I've just taken both pieces, buttoned them next to each other so that I know exactly where I want them to, so that they fit on the box. And then I was just adjusting the cut. Like one had like a little knob on it, a nubbin. All right. So now I'm using Gorilla Hot Glue. I always find it to be really effective. I find it to really hold up under weight. If you guys have been around my channel for a while, the first time I used it was in the vanity mirror, and that thing is still on my dresser and it's still in one piece, and it really is not going anywhere, I'll tell you. But I use it pretty much for all my projects that are going to take any weight. I don't use E6000. I don't like the toxic smell. Don't care for it that much. I have used it in the past, so don't like say, Jerry, you watched it in that channel. But I don't really care for it as much. So now what I'm doing is I'm just gluing around to put both pieces on, and I'm matching them up in the front to make sure that they're, if it's not even in the back, that's okay. You won't notice it as much. And then I'm taking some of the glue and I'm filling in the crack between them. And then I basically put in a bead of glue and then took the flat edge of my utility knife to basically skim it, like you would with a spackle knife, right? And now we're going to cut down the sides. So the canvas boards are, you need one 8x10 and one pack of 5x7s. You get two 5x7s in the pack. So you're going to use one for each end, and all you have to do, they're the perfect height, 7 inches, but you just have to make them a little narrower to fit this picture frame, which isn't a huge deal. But just make sure that you put the cut side towards the back, just like you did on the bottom, so that you have those pretty finished edges on the front and top. Okay? And now it's just a matter of gluing the sides on and then gluing the top in. What I did was I added glue to one side, held it in place, and then I added glue to the other side. I was able to stand it up on its end, and it was much easier that way. So I'm sorry that you can't really see me put the glue under there, but I think you guys get that. And what you could do, and I did in a couple of spots but not other spots, is you could fill in, basically caulk any of your open seams with the hot glue, as long as you can fill it in. Wipe the edge off almost like with a spackle knife. You want to go ahead and skim it off any big bulgy parts of glue, as you can see I'm doing there. Okay. Now you could sand it if you want to, if you have any pieces of big pieces of wood or paper sticking off and you want to take some sandpaper to it, you can for a nice finish. But I just went ahead and I'm painting it. Like, that's it. I'm using this chalk paint. It's almost done. It's almost like the end of the gifted chalk paint. I'm going to be back to using homemade chalk paint very shortly. But I really do like this one. This one is by Plaid, so I really do like this one. I was gifted. And of course, I'm just painting it white, and I'm not embellishing the edges. But if you've seen many of our projects where we do put embellishments on the edges, I've showed you different ways to do it. Basically, hand drawing, copying and transfer, You can do decoupage. You can decorate the ends of this. I decided not to. I'm just going to leave it white because it's going to be a gift, and I don't know exactly what the person wants to use it for. So if I give it to her and she wants to put it in her bathroom, well, then a bathroom decals or embellishments would be more appropriate than if she wants to put it in her kitchen, and so on and so forth. So, and what I will tell you, and we're going to get to a quick video at the end, is I am using 3 pint-sized Kerr mason jars, but I also fit in the not the small milk bottles. They will fit, but they will be short. The milk bottle that they came out, it almost looks like a carafe with the number 1 on it, and then they have a small vase that they came out with, but I'll show you them at the end. All of those fit in here. Now, you don't want to put more than 3, because the way you have to like fish them in, you basically have to like put the tops in first, and I'm going to show you a video on how we do that too in a second. Okay, so I'm just getting in all the good coats, and any little cracks and spaces I didn't fill in with glue, I'm just filling in with paint, and that works really well. Okay, and then once we're done giving it all good coats, and I went underneath, I didn't do the very, very bottom underneath, but I went underneath the top rack so it was all painted. This would also be awesome if you spray painted it. But you could see that space between the 2 bottom boards that I put glue on, and then once you paint it, it virtually disappears. So it becomes like one board again. But if you did have a nice long piece of chipboard that you could use for that base and the 2 sides, this would be an even less expensive project. As it is, it only cost me $4, plus whatever vases you put in it. If you had a big piece of chipboard that was big enough, it would cost you even less. It would only cost you $3. Okay? And then once you have it satisfied, you go ahead. I did paint the outside canvases, even though they were white. They just had a different sheen to them than the chalk paint, so I wanted to go ahead and make it all match. And then go back over with a bristle brush if you want to. That definitely gives you more of a chalky finish than just the sponge brush. Okay? So here is how you put the jars in. You basically feed the tops in and then just twist them around. Okay, and then take them out the same way. And here's how they are with, I just basically put one of each in there so you could see. I have a mason jar, and then here's that carafe, that small carafe I was talking about. It's not the large one. They sold it in a smaller size. And then I'm showing you that you really can't fit them in the top, which is good because then nobody can pull them out properly. And then here is that vase I was talking about. Okay, so you just want to make sure you put the tops in and then slide them in the base. And yeah, so you can't pull them out. That's what I was showing you there. And this is how they look with all 3, but obviously you wouldn't do 3 different ones. You'd have 3 the same. Okay, and that's it. And here's how they look. I've dressed them up with some of the lavender. I just tied lavender into bows and then stuck them in the vases. This is how they look with kitchen utensils in them. Of course, in a kitchen would be wonderful. And then this is how they look in the bathroom with cotton balls, Q-tips, and of course the toothbrush and toothpaste, but whatever you can think of. So that's it, everybody. Hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody you know who might be interested in learning how to make this really easy, no construction box. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. And when you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye.